Bearded Biomed.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to an all-new episode of your favorite podcast, The Bearded Biomed. Today I have a very special guest, all the way from the islands himself, Hawaii, Mr. Aloha himself, Jojo Gonzalez. Appreciate you being on today. I know we've had to reschedule a couple times because we got a time zone differential, but I appreciate you being here. And folks, if you're watching on video, you're getting the real deal. There's no filter. He's bringing the island vibes real time. Take it in. So I appreciate it, man. How's it going? Oh my gosh.
Thanks for having me, Chase. Appreciate it. Yeah, I'm glad we finally get to do this.
You've been on the bucket list. I got quite a long bucket list. Nobody knows it but me, but pretty much you know you're on it when you get a call. So
I appreciate it.
So how long, let's start here. How long have you been in Hawaii?
Oh gosh, almost 2.5 years. 2.5 years. I think I came here in 21. I'm actually approaching 3 years. So yeah, almost 3 years.
You know, I did a disservice. It's actually Hawaii. My bad for people that come from the island. You've done a lot of things. I'd love to hear your journey. Like, where did you start from to where you're at now?
Oh, thanks for asking that question. That's actually interesting. I joined the Navy when I was 17 years old. And it has been an adventure ever since. So I was a hospital corpsman, and then I got introduced to the biomed field from one of the biomeds doing a PM on some equipment at our work. And I asked them what they were doing, and they said, well, we're trying to fix and do PM on your equipment. And that's how I got introduced to it. So I became interested in that field. I went to the biomed school in Aurora, Colorado. It was a joint Army, Navy school back then. It wasn't a tri-service now that the Air Force is involved, but back then it was just the Army and the Navy training. And that was back in, 1988.
So fit
a
7
long
stays.
time ago. So I did 20 years in the Navy as a hospital corpsman with the Biomed, and after that I was recruited again by a friend of mine, and they said they needed some help at Kaiser Permanente. That's when I joined Kaiser, going on 18 years now with Kaiser.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would say that's also pretty rare, Biomed sticking it out with one particular company. So I would say that speaks very highly of Kaiser, the fact that you've had such a tenure with them. I've heard about them, but I'm not too familiar with Kaiser Permanente.
Yeah, I joined Kaiser in San Diego. I moved up the ranks. I was a technician, became a lead technician, and then they offered me an adventure, so to speak. They said there's an adventure waiting for me in Hawaii, and I said, oh, sign me up, aloha. So I came to Hawaii, and I'm now the senior manager for the Kaiser here in Hawaii.
And I'm sure, along with myself, a lot of people envy that you get to just wake up and be in, such tranquil environment, which, the island's gone through a lot within the past couple years. And I was just kind of curious, everything environmentally been going through, how has that affected your day-to-day job as a biomed?
Our day-to-day job doesn't change as much, right? We work in a hospital setting. Regardless of what's happening on the environment, it's always the same. We need to make sure the equipment is up and running to be able to take care of our patients. You're familiar with what happened with Lahaina at Maui, where we had a big fire. We had a clinic that burned down. That really affected us. We had a Kaiser clinic there. We had to mobilize. Those kind of situations, the community got together, our team got together, and the Kaiser team brought extra equipment so that we were able to set up treatment facilities, first aid stations that were able to service the community.
Call to arms.
Yeah, so it was tragic. It was really, but I am amazed. I'm really, The spirit of Aloha here in Hawaii is just amazing. How fast the people mobilize. To be honest with you, the government was a little slow, but the people were not. Uh, you know, I have heard stories. I have people that I volunteer with regularly on a monthly basis. They organize folks that they rowed the canoe and boats from the island of Oahu to Maui to bring supplies.
Wow.
That is a long haul.
Yeah.
And yeah, so as far as the biomed field, uh, our work here, like I said, never changes. It's always been the same mission as always. Keep the equipment running so we can take care of our patients.
That's the mantra, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's all about patient care, elevating it and making sure that it's safe.
Sorry, I just heard some mango dropped on the ground.
Oh, you're killing me.
A whole bunch of them that just dropped.
I was talking to the wife earlier that I was going to be interviewing you, and she's like, I miss Hawaii. We went there for a honeymoon. It was my very first true vacation that I ever had in my entire adult life.
Oh,
And the
yeah, do it again,
sense
buddy.
of I'm coming back. Like there's the energy, the vibe, the kindness, there's just you can't describe it. It's an energy of just
Yeah,
the people on the island itself and the community around it.
yeah,
I it's hard for me to even describe, but it was incredible.
yeah.
And even though I am not from the island, I'm not a part of that community. Just the fact that I got to experience it and just everything that happened over there, like it hurt my soul. Like it's incredible to hear, just that everybody banded together and did what they needed to do, government or not, just to get people the resources that they needed. Um, being on the island, how does the supplies and of course the infrastructure work when it comes to supporting the hospital at large? Do y'all have any particular setbacks or things that you have to tackle that maybe we're not going to have to deal with on a day-to-day basis?
Obviously, being in the middle of the Pacific, you don't have the same support structure that you have over there in the continental U.S., right? The CONUS facilities. Uh, with us, we have to be very self-sufficient. Um, our team handles imaging, instrumentation, laboratory, sterilizers, all that good stuff. The challenges are when we needed parts that are not available immediately here on the island. So we built a good relationship, great relationships with our vendors, that we have those agreements that we can get priority service, things of that nature. Um, and we built redundancy on the system. Um, and I think that's the best that you can do. Things will
Right.
happen, things would break. Um, Best thing you can do is try to fix it as soon as you can and rely on the redundancy and rely on the vendors to help and support you. Um, we don't have all the vendors present on the island, but some of them are. Some of them have warehouses here on the island. There are multiple facilities, multiple hospitals here, so it makes sense for them to have supply and parts here. But on occasions that they don't, they're able to ship it directly from the mainland on a fairly fast, next day service kind of thing.
What are some of the major changes from when you started out, after you exited the military and got into the civilian sector? What are some of the changes you think that you can notice or pinpoint from then to now that have occurred within the field?
Well, the obvious one is the cybersecurity, right? We are now getting more and more equipment interconnected with our infrastructure. Um, Back when I started, it wasn't on the radar. When we were in the biomed school, we weren't concerned about networking and security and things of that nature. Halfway through my career as a biomed, that kind of became a subject, and actually I studied computer science just because of that, and I studied cybersecurity. When my last duty station, I was in Rota, Spain. I was actually the network security guy for the hospital. as well as the chief biomed, um, because we recognize that the relationship between the equipment and medical equipment and IT. Right, we were deploying the PAC system, the digital imaging, the DIN PACs, that's what the military called it.
Right.
Um, and they needed somebody who can speak those languages, the language of the provider, the language of IT, the language of medical equipment, right? So as a biomed, as a Navy corpsman, I kind of fit that bill. And that's kind of one of the unique advantages of the Navy folks attending the biomed school. They are well versed on healthcare and how to use the equipment and how to take care of patients. It makes it easier for us to troubleshoot equipment if we know how to use them. Um, that's a major advantage for Navy folks that are uh, going into the biomed field. Uh, so, yeah, cybersecurity was one of them that really changed quite a bit, and we're going to see more and more of it. We are going to see this big push for home healthcare. Now that we are providing
Yes,
care
absolutely.
outside in the homes of people, how are you going to support those equipment? That's a challenge for organizations. Um, and then, the big AI kind of thing that are happening right now. So those are the challenges we're going to see in the future. But right now, I see the cybersecurity and the home healthcare. Those are the two things that is going to keep us up at night to make sure that those devices that are out in the patient's homes are taken care of. They're an extension of our
Technology is not going to
facilities,
slow
right?
down.
Huh?
Technology is not going to slow down.
No, no, and you know we need to embrace it. Biomeds, they can't just sit back and think that it's gonna bypass and it's a fad that it's just it's not gonna affect them, but it will affect us. We need to embrace technology. We need to embrace networking, cybersecurity, uh, those kind of things. So we need to own it. To me, I always said that regardless of how complicated a system is and how technologically advanced it is, um, at the heart of it is a medical equipment. Its purpose is to provide care for a patient. So it doesn't matter if you put
Absolutely.
millions of dollars of technology on it. It's still at the heart, the function and the purpose of it is to take care of patients, and we should be involved in
I
that.
get reached out to all the time from younger folks that are currently in biomed school or plan to look into getting into the field. And they ask me, what are some of the things that I need to do to maybe set myself apart or set myself up for success getting into the field? And, cybersecurity is definitely one of those things they could look into.
Yep,
Having some kind of background within network troubleshooting, going after your A plus, M plus, S plus,
yep,
maybe CISS, any of those things that just kind of get you familiarized with, especially speaking the lingo with IT, because more and more we're having to do team ups with IT and collaborate with them.
yep,
They speak one language, we speak another, and sometimes that's a lot of where the confrontation can come between the two departments not understanding each other's language. So that's one of the things that I at least tell them, you need to plan for the future because it's already here. It's just most people aren't adding that to their credentialing or their schooling. What are some of the things that you think that a young up and coming biomed professional could add to their repertoire, their tool belt?
I always say be humble and be hungry. Be hungry for knowledge. A lot of uh, There's a lot to be learned. I always what I teach and what I empower my team to do is to always take notes, always learn from what you're doing. With this, especially if you're faced with a complicated problem, deployment, things of that nature. I'm a writer. I write things down. I build how-to guides. I build lessons learned. I have a stack of uh, how-to guides that I share with the team because you never know. 2 or 3 years down the road, you may be faced with the same problem, and you're like, oh, I can't remember how to do it. Well, but I wrote something about it, and I was able to share that with my team. Be a good note taker. Documentation is critical in the work that we're doing, right? It's great that we're able to fix something, but you need to take notes of what you did to fix it. Um, it's not just for documentation for the life cycle management of equipment. It's also for your knowledge. Knowledge are steps. You read, you learn, you study, then you do it. When you're doing it, you learn more from doing that. And when you show it to somebody, and when you teach someone, you're also learning. You're reinforcing what you learned. So it's a continuing process. So the more of those you do, and the repeated practice of that, that's something that every technician, every young biomed should embrace and do.
I couldn't have said it better myself. I think a lot of at least because I hire a lot of new grads, I see value in training and mentoring and coaching the next generation. And a lot of them kind of figure out quickly that documentation is so much more important, if not just as important, as servicing medical equipment itself. If the facilities were taken care of, if the regulatory agencies that survey us, audit us, if none of them can see or depict what we did to service that equipment, it's like we didn't do it. It's not saying we didn't, but it's kind of the justification for what we do. I can't tell you how many. Right, I can't tell you how many times I've gone into a technician's notes and either the notes saved me to be able to get the equipment up, or I had to go back and inquire and ask more questions because the notes were not sufficient enough. The notes also help out your fellow biomed.
Absolutely, absolutely. Somebody is going to follow up, and the equipment history is very important. Those are the first things that I always teach technicians is, you have a problem with this equipment, go back to the history, see if that problem has occurred before, and how much time have you spent on it. If the documentation was not there, then we don't have nothing to go with. It helps support your, like I said, life cycle management. If the equipment history doesn't show any kind of problem, it's hard to justify a replacement. But if you're able
Right.
to document multiple problems, issues arising from this and that, if it's going to cost more than 50%, 60% of the cost of a brand new equipment, it's not economical to repair, things of that nature. If you don't have documentation, you can't justify it.
I would also go to utilize the documentation to identify trends.
Correct.
So if the
Absolutely.
issues are reoccurring, is it user error? Is it damage that is occurring because of Justin Barber? He puts it. One thing I love that he's coined it almost is troubleshoot the problem. What is causing the problem to occur in the first place? And going back and identifying that this is reoccurring can point to life cycle management, identifying perhaps user training, or maybe there might be a manufacturer defect, maybe there is a usage defect. A lot of this stuff can come in handy, especially when you're trying to keep a hospital up and running. It's very important that we implement that as biomeds.
In addition to documentation, I would say that young biomed should immediately be involved with the industry. Uh, the local biomed association, uh, Amy organization, uh, doing podcasts, listening to podcasts, and reading magazines. Network. I can't say enough of networking. Right? It's so critical, and not just
Especially in our field.
yeah, it's critical. I mean, like I said, I was recruited to join Kaiser because I was friends with some biomeds that identified the need in Kaiser, and they said, and they found out that I retired and I moved down to San Diego, and they said, "Oh, Jojo, you're here. Come and join us." So it's critical that we build that network. For a new biomed, join the association, contribute, and be part of, be part of the solution, right? There's the associations that have problems and activities. Join and you learn something. There's something to learn every day.
Well, back in 2022, Amy's survey pointed to at least 60% of the field is 45 or older, and
How old?
it was a couple 45 or older.
Ah, yeah.
60%, which I would assume is, that's just from the people that answered. So if we look at it, in retrospect, it's inherently important that the younger folks absolutely get involved. And it doesn't take much.
No.
One of the frustrating things is when I encounter a new grad or encounter somebody when I go to speak to college programs, is none of them have a LinkedIn profile.
Oh,
And in our community, that's pretty important, because that's kind of like just the bare minimum foundation you can use to lay out networking for yourself, for
sure.
finding jobs, for sourcing, parts or information, um, creating relationships, getting latest news and updates. Like there's a lot that comes with that. I mean, we also nowadays we have our Facebook groups. We have there's
Yeah.
actually a BMed Discord. We have social media, YouTube and TikTok and all kinds of stuff. Um, there's a lot to do, and it doesn't require a lot of effort. It's just a matter
No, it does
of
not.
getting involved in general, especially the Biomed associations. Oh my God, do y'all have one on the island?
Fortunately, the association here has kind of faded away a little. We're trying to revive it, trying to bring it back together. Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have one. Where I came from is very strong. Shout out to CMIA, San Diego. It's a pretty strong group.
Absolutely. There's certain biomed organizations out there. If you were just to name them off, they're pretty familiar with everybody, even if you've never lived in the area. So
Uh,
CMIA is one of them.
yeah, we actually have a subgroup we started a while back. The SoCal HTM. I think the
Yep.
Facebook group that you 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 joined it. That's a group that I started, uh, and it has grown quite a bit. Um, that was like, gosh, 2018, 2017, I believe. We started that group. It just started as a group of friends, biomeds, and then it just grew up. It just blew up. So, um, yeah, and like I said, networking. There's a lot. Like you mentioned, LinkedIn, folks. If you're gonna be in a professional organization in this industry, I think LinkedIn is very important and be helpful. It's helpful.
Let's do a 360 here.
Okay.
Look, let's take Jojo now. What would you tell yourself advice wise from what you've gained throughout the years to when you first started?
What would I tell myself? I have
Go
a
back and
long.
give a piece of advice.
I pride myself in having a good network and having great relationship with the folks that I encounter. And I have lasted in this industry that long because of those relationships. It's all about relationship building, right? But I'm also the first to admit that I didn't do that well when I was starting my career. I was focused uh, on myself. I was extremely selfish. Uh, it wasn't. I wasn't involved in the industry as much as I am now um, when I first started. So if I was gonna go back, that's the thing that I would do. I would start early on, but still, I have friends that I go way back on the biomed school, right? Uh,
Uh-huh.
but my relationship now is stronger than ever. But when I was younger, I would tell myself, if I can go back, I would tell myself to, hey, don't burn any bridges, establish great relationship, and build from there. And like I said, this is all about relationships.
That's some sound advice. I would say, a lot of people have probably experienced. I would say I even when I first got out, I was very much head
Hey
down,
guys.
wrenching multimeter, just making sure that I was learning, absorbing, and just doing the best of my ability to make sure that my work was right. And after a couple of years of being entrenched in that and seeing and getting the questions about what does biomed do, and not a lot of people know about it, that's what inspired me to create what I have now. And I wish I had done it earlier.
Yeah.
For a really long time, it was just Better Biomed and HTN Workshop, putting content out there. Besides, our bigger MD Publishing and Amy, which they're both very vital and incredible resources. But now with how things have transitioned, I think we need to expand what us that are outside of those organizations have started and start building a social media network and a content network, not so much associated with those two, but in partnership, and grow it and grow it and, spread the word outside the
I'm happy you
box.
said that. We need to spread the word, and I want to congratulate you really on the work that you're doing. So thank you for
I
doing it.
appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I think the easiest way to put it is we cannot expect change if we fully just expect Amy to do it themselves. Amy doesn't just do biomed. Amy
Right.
supports a whole modicum of different sections of the healthcare industry,
Yeah.
and they can only do so much. Danielle and her team that handle the HTM side do amazing work. We have the councils, we have the groups, but it can't just be reliant on them.
I agree. I
Like
agree.
you
And
alluded to, don't be
yes,
to be a solution. You can't be a part of the problem.
one thing about biomeds, I think we're, inherently, I think we're dedicated on the work. We are focused on completing the task and fixing the equipment and keeping the equipment running, but we don't do a good enough job to promote it, to promote what it is that we do, right? And I think we're just, I don't know, what should I say? I think we're a little shy on
Yeah, the word's
on
always been introverted,
right.
and
Introverted, right?
essentially the call to arms has been we're asking people to kind of change their viewpoint
Yeah.
on what their profession is. And it doesn't require 100% of every single biomed that is in the profession to do something. But if you're comfortable talking to people, if you're comfortable answering questions or doing any kind of grassroots outreach to maybe a local school, or just
Yeah.
sharing your experiences, especially women in the HTM as well.
Yes.
A couple of them have started to branch out and share their experiences, and that's powerful stuff because you're representing a demographic that maybe doesn't have that level of viewpoint that they can point to. Our demographics in the HTM field are primarily mostly old white men, which that's just the way it is. But that is slowly changing. And by us within these different demographics showcasing that we are in this too, that's going to expand and bring more and more diversity to the field. So let's take a step over here. And I got to ask you, because just based on my experience there, what is what is your most favorite and least favorite thing to eat on the island?
My gosh. Ah, jeez.
So I'm
I'm a
gonna be
food.
honest. I'm not a fan of pork.
Oh, come on.
I'm sorry. I know it's gonna hurt a lot of people. I can't. I've
You
tried
gotta
it.
have
I can at
boys.
least say I've tried it. I've just it's not for me. But I will go ham on some Kahlua pig and some loco moco. Like
Uh,
I'll eat everything else. It's just
I
I don't
pretty
know.
much eat everything. I love everything. I like that. Oh my God. Just, being on the island is just a mix of different food. I mean, a lot of Asian influence,
Mhm.
island influence. You know, I'm mostly a pescatarian. I try to eat fish most of the time. I try to avoid
Oh my god,
red
yeah, the
meat.
fitting.
Yeah, so take me to a sushi place. I'm happy. We'll have Kahlua pig once in a while because that's what it is right here.
Yeah.
And people ask me, hey, where can I get a good spam musubi? I'll tell them. They'll be surprised. I tell them, hey, best place to go is
Ooh.
7-Eleven. And
I mean, this
people are surprised. I was
if you
like, oh,
don't know, you
yeah,
can't miss the 7-Eleven on the island, even if you
no.
tried. Take 3 steps either way and you'll hit one.
And they have some great food over there. So yeah, people are surprised when they ask. Uh, yeah, it's poke. I'm always dining on poke. So
We're taking in the island. That's okay.
sorry
So,
about that.
do you plan on going to any conferences this year, or can we expect to see you on stateside?
Oh gosh, you know I would love to. I I made some promises to some people that I may have to break. Unfortunately, current economic condition is not conducive to a lot of traveling and conferences. So
Right.
I'll play it by ear. We'll see. I love. I think the last time we saw each other was in San Antonio.
Yep. Amy.
Yeah, Yeah, Amy. So that's a
I
couple
didn't
years back.
have an excuse to miss that one because that was my hometown.
Yeah, you can't miss that one. You're right there.
No.
So I was the last one I was at Long Beach. We'll see. We'll see. I don't want to make any more promises that I probably will break. I do miss going to conferences.
Just tell them you're getting there on Hawaii time.
Uh, yeah,
I did not understand that until I got there. They're like,
ah,
"Oh yeah, things move a little differently around here."
it's slow. It's very relaxed. It's very
Yeah.
it's we're living the life. You know, people are. It reminds me of my time in Spain. Mañana, we'll take care of it tomorrow. People are not too high strung or worried about stuff. You know, stress. Uh, but yeah, just living on the island is different. Um, it's not for everybody. I gotta warn you, the listeners, the viewers. Uh, some people get what they call it, island fever. I think they feel that it's too small, not enough things to do. But the island will embrace you. The island living is healthy. Uh, you have to come with an open mind. Uh, it's expensive. I'm not
And
gonna
lots of
lie.
sunblock.
It is expensive to live here because everything is shipped over, right?
Yeah.
Um, but if you embrace it, the quality of life is excellent.
So I know I'm sure you have your own level of burnout as well from time to time. But seeing as how you probably embrace relaxation and understand to, you know, take a breath and, reacclimate to things. Because burnout is pretty prevalent within our
It
field.
is. It is.
We have a lot of tasks that are thrown on us. A lot of the biomed profession itself has morphed to where we just take on more and more responsibilities. And I think everybody has their own way of dealing with
Yeah.
stress and burnout, etc. And what are some of the things that you do besides
Okay. Well,
live on the
yeah.
island?
I'm glad. I'm actually glad you asked because that is very prevalent. A lot of stress, a lot of force reduction. Right. I
Right.
mentioned financial constraints. We're being asked, like you said, we're being asked to take on more and more and more with less and less staff. More and more responsibilities piled onto you with no relief in sight. To me personally, I try the best I can to minimize the stress. I have a routine. I meditate regularly, very regularly, even at home. I start in the morning at work. When I get to work, you don't see me jump up to the shop right away. I spend about 20-30 minutes in my car to meditate. Just quiet, close my eyes, do my uh, transcendental meditation about 20-30 minutes. Just get me in the right mindset. Get me in a frame of mind that, I'm here to make a difference. I'm not coming to work dreading work. I am trying to shift my focus on I'm here to make a difference, to help and to be productive, and to contribute. So if you're able to contribute and get that mindset going at the very first moment of the day of your workday, it it's going to be a productive day. Um, at the end of the day, I try to work out. I have pretty close to the gym, so I try to do my workout at least 4 or 5 times a week after work. And at home we do the same thing. My wife is she's an insomnia coach. You mentioned burnout. My wife is an RN, but she kind of a little burned out from COVID. I believe is one
Yeah.
of the contributing factors in why she got burned out. And she transitioned into insomnia coaching. So we talk about sleep all the time. We practice good sleep hygiene, and we're able to sleep. If I have good sleep, that helps my mindset, relieves stress, right? And the other thing that I will point out is that you have to build trust with your team. Uh, I don't stress as much anymore. It's still stressful, but now that the team that we have is trustworthy, and I know that they will take care of the work. I don't stress it as much. Um, so and those are the kind of practices that we do. We do a lot of outdoor activities. Like I said before we came on, this is a place that I volunteer regularly. I think next Saturday is our volunteer event. We have normally about 60 to 100 volunteers that come from the community who comes here and work on the field, who works on the land, on the aina. We call it the aina is land. We get our hands in there. We get in the water and uh, work the field, and those are healthy ways to dealing with stress and burnout.
I like it. I think I think that's a good way to probably end the episode is just, you know, you shared some gems, man. And I appreciate you sharing, you know, nature behind you as well. Cause I'm not gonna lie, I've had very stressful past couple of weeks. And
Yes,
just like seeing that behind you, just kind of like, brought back really good memories and just kind of like, you know, made kind of relieved some stress a little bit. So I hope a lot of people that are watching this or hearing the sounds and everything will just kind of like appreciate that as well. But I
yes,
really appreciate you being on the show today because uh,
yeah. You
it's
gotta take
always
care of yourself, buddy.
we're busy.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're busy folks. I am always appreciative of everybody that comes on and talks to me. So thank
and
you.
one other thing that I should add, and everybody should practice is speak with your loved one regularly, right? Just as hello, especially the ones that you don't talk to much or you don't see very much. Some ones that are across the country, right, in different parts of the world. Just stay in touch. I think that's very healthy. Mental health is a problem that we have here in the United States, and we should be taking care of our mental health. And a brief conversation with your long lost friends really goes a long way. And you know, moments of silence, just sit in the backyard and meditate, and think about how days are going and be grateful. It always starts with grace. It starts with being grateful and grateful for what we have and what we currently possess,
Right on.
and the family that we have around us. Yeah, that's very very helpful in your mental health.
They say is you can't take care of what you're supposed to if you can't take care of yourself first.
That is
You got to
true.
be right first.
It's so true. That's true. That's true. And when you're on the plane, right, you're supposed to put on your mask first before
Yeah,
you
there
put
you
it
go,
on your loved one.
man. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I hope to see you at a future conference. I know I'll eventually see you at one point or another. But if
I,
if
I,
if
I
anybody
hope so.
wanted to reach out to you or learn more about the island, or maybe come work at Kaiser Permanente or what have you,
Hey, we have an
is there
opening.
anywhere they could reach out to you? Oh,
An
there you go.
opening, yeah, on LinkedIn. So just feel free. I some people have reached out to me, and you know, it hasn't worked out to some people, but I'm able to direct them to other opportunities. So it is what it is.
Well, hopefully you'll
Um,
get some applicants here for after this episode airs.
I hope so. I hope so. It's yeah. We have a great team, and be ready to be part of a great and progressive team. And we are developing all the time. Our family, our ohana is strong. Uh, Living on the island is wonderful. You would enjoy your life here.
Well, Jojo, appreciate it again, man.
You
Thank you
good?
very much.
All right.
Uh, yeah, mahalo, aloha. Hope you have a great day. And for anybody that's watching the episode or listening, please like, subscribe. It supports the algorithm, supports the channel grow. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple, Google, wherever you're taking your podcast, I do appreciate any questions, comments, concerns that you leave for the show. If you have any questions to reach out to me specifically, you can reach me at chase@beardedbiomed.com. And of course, please check out the website itself and gives you all the latest content of the show, beardedbiomed.com. Again, this has been Jojo Gonzalez on the Bearded Biomed, bringing some Mojo, Aloha style. And hang loose, man. Take care.
Thanks a lot, Chase. Have a great one. Aloha.
Bearded Biomed.